199. News. I'm John.
I am IC winner.
Our first story, in 1519, Charles V becomes Holy Roman Emperor. Emperor Maximilian I died, which was a fortunate event for the budding Reformation because it turned attention away from heresy in Saxony to the contest for a new emperor. In the contest, the Pope backed the French King Francis I. However, Charles I of Spain, a youth of 19, successfully succeeded his grandfather as Emperor Charles V.
In 1519, Magellan circumnavigates the globe. Ferdinand Magellan explored the coastline of South America. He made it all the way around South America and across the Pacific to the Philippines, continuing the search for a westward route to the Indies. Unfortunately, he was killed in a skirmish with the inhabitants in the Philippines. However, he did prove that the territory where Columbus landed was not part of the Far East, but rather an entirely unknown continent, a continent the Spanish planned to conquer.
Fascinating! Is he really dead though? Come check.
I'm the Charles V. I'm the emperor now.
In 1521, Luther was called before the Diet of Worms. Luther presented his views before the Diet of Worms, over which the newly elected Emperor Charles V presided. Ordered to recant, Luther declared that to do so would be to act against Scripture, reason, and his conscience. Later, he was placed under the imperial ban. For his own protection, friends disguised and hid him in Wartburg Castle at the instruction of Elector Frederick. Yeah, you can stop now.
Will you recant?
If I recant, I will act against the Scripture, reason, and his conscience.
You banned.
Right?
I take you to the Wartburg Castle right now.
Yes, Majesty.
I thought.
In 1525, German peasant revolt. Luther had become almost as much as an object of protest within Germany as was the Pope. Original allies, sympathizers, and fellow travelers increasingly declared their independence from Wittenberg. The Lutherans were not social revolutionaries, and they saw no hope for their movement if it became intertwined with a peasant revolution. When the peasants revolt against their landlords, invoking Luther's name, Luther predictably condemned them as unchristian and urged the prince to crush the revolt mercilessly. Many peasants died.
Luther! 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 Luther!
Luther! I'm hella hungry! Luther!
This revolt is unchristian. Oh. Yeah, I think we should crush it mercilessly though.
Okay.
Many peasants will die.
Okay, yes, we have to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The German peasant revolt was crushed, but many peasants were left dead. Victim number 1,203. victim.
In 1529, Henry VIII summons the Reformation Parliament. When the papacy showed no signs of granting the annulment, Henry decided to take authority into his own hands. Starting in November 1529 and continuing for 7 years, he began what became known as the Reformation Parliament, which Henry used as a tool to give him ultimate authority on religious matters.
Oh, I go. Oh, okay. In 1535, Sir Thomas More executed by Henry VIII. More refused to take an oath recognizing Henry VIII as head of the Church of England. He was charged with high treason for denying the validity of the Act of Succession. More believed that he could not be convicted, so he refused to answer all questions regarding his opinions on the subject. Thomas Cromwell brought forth the Solicitor General to testify that More has denied that the king was the legitimate head of the church. Finally, More was... I can see the picture. Finally, More was sentenced to be hanged, drawn, and quartered. But the king committed this to execution by decapitation. Hi, now I'm interviewing this guy. Do you know why Sir Thomas More is executed?
More refused to take an oath recognizing Henry VIII as head of the Church of England, and then he was charged with high treason for denying the validity of the Act of Succession. And More also believed that he couldn't be convicted, so he refused to answer all questions regarding his options on the subject. Yeah.
Wow, that sucks.
Hey, Charles V, sign this paper for the Lutherans.
Do I have to do this?
Yep.
Really?
Yes, we're gonna do it.
I rock skinnies. I rock skinnies. I rock skinnies. I rock skinnies. I fresh. I'm the independent jerk. I fresh. I'm the independent jerk. I jerk so low. 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 I jerk so.
In 1536, Calvin publishes his first editions of his Institutes. In his Institutes of the Christian Religion, he argued that grace was given to relatively few individuals, and the rest were consigned to hell. Since God had predestinated our fate, there was no room for free will. The work was a defense of his faith and a statement of the doctrinal position of reformers. He also intended it to serve as a basic instruction book for people who were interested in the Christian religion. Okay, we're done. In my Institutes of the Christian Religion, I'm going to argue that grace is given to relatively few individuals, and the rest were consigned to hell. Since God had predestinated our fate, there's no room for free will. So, this is a defense of power that addressed the problems that initiates the Reformation, such as limiting the selling of church offices. It's going to emphatically endorse the traditional teachings on such matters as the sacrament, role of priests, and the tradition of the church.
In 1543, Copernicus publishes his Concerning the Revolutions of the Celestial Spheres. Copernicus was a cleric. He waited many years before he finally decided to publish it. He dedicated the book to Pope Paul III and included a preface that claimed that the ideas contained on those pages were just mathematical hypothesis. The heliocentric system explained that the planets move in a circular motion around the sun. Unfortunately, his ideas did not stir a revolution in the way in which people viewed the planets and the stars. Finally, I finished the book.